/toybot to see how you can help.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Aaron Sachs & Associates.
Coming up, Springdale Police Department arrests 2 men in connection with the disappearance of a man in Berry County. And authorities charge a former substitute teacher with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. Also, a GoFundMe project to help exonerated inmate Kevin Strickland comes through in a big way. Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
I tell you what, John, a little chilly outside, but no wind. Man, does that make a difference compared to what we had last week? Yeah, it's tolerable right now. 39 degrees is where we stand. And yes, we do have a wind chill in effect. Only feels like 33. But big difference in that we can roll 5 to 10 miles per hour for our winds today and avoid those 20-mile-per-hour gusts. Here are our temperatures. We are as low as the freezing point that we have in Miami and in Anderson. And then if you look out to the west, we actually have as high as 41 in Neodesha and Independence. Carthage and Lamar, throw Pittsburgh in there as well, right behind at 39. No worries on the Skywatch storm trackers. We'll have a whole bunch of sunshine today. Temperature's not going to be too bad, rather seasonable. In fact, if not a skosh above, as we'll be able to make it into the 60s and really going to finish off November in fine fashion. No worries until we get to the weekend. And by that point in time, Tanya, it is hard to believe it is going to be December.
That is hard to believe. Where did November go? I think that's what we said about October, too.
Feels like that's what I've said about 2021, honestly.
Not fast enough. All right, thanks, Michael. 2 suspects have been arrested in connection with the disappearance of a man from a Springdale apartment, according to officials with the Springdale Police Department. With 2 suspects in custody, the search continues for 39-year-old Richard Phillips. Phillips was last seen at the Peaks Apartments on Cooper Drive November 23rd. An investigation into his disappearance started after a witness told police Phillips was abducted from the apartment by a group of men. Officers spotted a trail of blood in the parking lot. On Saturday, just before 12 p.m., a group of hunters discovered a body later identified as Phillips just north of Seligman, Missouri in Berry County. Law enforcement determined that he died in Springdale. His body is being sent to the Arkansas State Crime Lab to determine his cause of death. Springdale police officials say following an extensive investigation, Reginald Baker of Seligman, Missouri, and Daniel Blanks of Fort Smith, Arkansas, were named suspects in the case. Investigators learned the pair were staying in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and requested authorities in the area help bring the men into custody. Both men were arrested by the Tulsa Police Department without incident and will be transported back to Washington County. Authorities file a sex crime charge against a former substitute teacher for the Frontenac and Girard, Kansas school districts. The suspect is 39-year-old Ross McCullough of Frontenac. Prosecutors say he asked an underage Frontenac student to engage in sexually explicit conduct by mobile phone. They've charged him with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. A man declared wrongfully convicted in 3 murders heads to a new life with lots of goodwill through donated funds. More than $1.4 million has been raised as of Saturday. A GoFundMe project was started for 62-year-old Kevin Strickland of Kansas City, Missouri. Strickland was ordered released from prison last Tuesday by a Missouri Court of Appeals judge for a wrongful 1979 conviction in 3 killings in Kansas City. The judge ruled that evidence has since been recanted or disproved. Strickland has always maintained his innocence. The GoFundMe project will help Strickland's living expenses. Well, it wasn't just big box stores benefiting from the post-holiday shopping. KOAM's Bronte Saratsky spoke with 2 Joplin businesses about the work they put in to attract customers.
It's one of the busiest shopping days of the year.
I mean, it's called Black Friday for a reason. It's kind of the day that it just brings everything together as far as it kind of tops off the end of the year.
Well, Black Friday usually has shoppers lining up at larger retailers. Local Joplin businesses like Sophie Boutique were almost just as popular.
It's definitely one of our best months of the year. So yeah, I mean, a lot of small businesses of all kinds count on the holiday season to kind of wrap up the year on a high note.
It's a similar story at GameCo, which just moved to a new location. Their owner, J.C. Bird, says they were unsure how turnout would be, but says the amount of people they saw come in shows the importance of supporting small local stores.
We want you to shop local, stay here in town, don't spend your money online, come and see us for anything that we can get for you here local. It's very important for us to, brick and mortar is hard to do.
What really helps out smaller businesses on big shopping days like Black Friday is having loyal customers.
We have a lot of new customers too, but we really try and really nurture those relationships with our customers to where they want to come shop with us, they want to support us, and so that is the most important thing, to be completely honest.
And although small businesses were unsure what another Black Friday would hold,
We didn't really know exactly what it's going to be like. We're kind of, just treading the waters to see if we're coming back to a sense of normalcy.
they say it was great to be back and seeing everyone again.
It's always a great time, and I love just seeing all the customers and the familiar faces and the new faces. Like it's fun to work this weekend.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Saturday was Small Business Saturday, and many four-state businesses participated in it. It's 5:07.
It's chilly outside, but there's no wind to fight, so even though we do have about a 6-degree difference from the temperatures to what it actually feels like, still not too bad for the end of November. The weather trend for today is actually going to give us plenty of sunshine and lift us up into the low to mid 60s. Future track, this is abnormally dry. We are going to have to talk about a little bit elevated fire risk here by the time we get to the middle of the week. Reason being, we're not going to see any rain until we get to the weekend, and as Tanya and I have been talking about, by that point in time, yes, it's December.
Look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Webb City Cardinals have more football to play as they continue their march toward a 16th state championship. Plus, we'll meet a woman who celebrates life thanks to the gift of an organ donation 12 years ago. And many countries impose a fresh round of travel bans as the latest COVID variant begins to spread in South Africa. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
They say.
If you missed it last night, after 5 seasons with the Oklahoma Sooners, head coach Lincoln Riley is on his way out as he has accepted the head coaching job at the University of, everybody ready? No, it's not LSU. It's USC. He's going to replace former USC head coach Clay Helton. Helton was fired in September after 7 seasons with the Trojans. Riley leaving a Sooners program that he helped guide to 4 consecutive Big 12 titles, 3 college football playoff appearances. In his 5 years at Oklahoma, Riley had a 55-10 record. Now, prior to Sunday's news of Riley's departure and all the talk about him going to LSU, Sooners focused on a huge conference game. Oklahoma on the road on Saturday for a top 10 matchup against rival Oklahoma State and a spot in the Big 12 championship game. Tie game in the second quarter. Brennan Presley on the return. Few close calls, but he blows past everybody. 100-yard return. And just like that, the Cowboys say, we'll play a little offense with you as well. Another huge special teams play here. This time Presley, he loses it. Justin Broyles scoops it up for the Sooners touchdown. Oklahoma up 33-24. Fourth quarter, 2-point game. Eric Gray, speaking of having trouble with punts, he muffs it. DeMarco Jones Jr. recovers. Cowboys take over on the 5, and a few plays later, 1-yard run for Jaylen Warren as the Cowboys take the lead. 14 seconds left in the game, 4th and 10. Colin Oliver says, come here, Caleb Williams. I'm about to finish Bedlam like this. Oklahoma State wins 37-33, snaps a 6-game losing streak to Oklahoma. Cowboys are the ones headed to the Big 12 championship. They'll do so against Baylor, by the way. Webb City Cardinals have more football to play this year. Webb headed to the state championship game, looking for the 16th state championship in program history. Took down undefeated Jackson on Saturday, 35-21. Cardinals played a dominant first half It was highlighted by 3 rushing touchdowns from Cade Wilson. Oh, by the way, he finished the day with 4 touchdowns. Now, Jackson fought his way back into the game, but the Webb City defense just too good. Came up with a couple 4th down stops. Head coach John Roderick praising his group's performance.
Oh, it played fantastic. I mean, this team averages 45, 50 points a game. What an outstanding effort by our guys. You know, we got to a point where they really probably tried to throw it more. They've kind of been, you know, like a lot of teams, they try to control the ball with the run game. But yeah, our defense has been just unbelievable here as of late.
Oh, but wait, there's more Southwest Missouri football, as the Lamar Tigers will get a shot at defending their Class II title. Lamar won a 1-point game against Richmond on Saturday to advance to the state championship. Joel Beshore, well, Beshore, there's a familiar name, connected with Austin Wilkerson to put the Tigers up 21-14. That proved to be just enough to edge the Spartans and claim the victory.
It feels great. It never gets old, and you know, this group has earned it. They deserve it, and can't wait to get 6 more days of football with them. It's one game at a time, and right now our one game at a time is the last one. It's the big one. So we're going to do what we do. We're going to prepare like we always do, and put our kids in the best position possible to win a football game.
An old Beshore name and the Lamar Tigers. Those things kind of run hand in hand, it seems. Both the Tigers and Cardinals play for the state championship this coming Friday and will do so in Columbia. Lamar faces Lutheran St. Charles at 3. Then you turn around. If you want a double dip, it's a great weekend for it, 7 p.m. Webb City kicks off against Holt. In Kansas, Frontenac met Andale in the Class 3A state championship. It was a little bit of an off day for the Raiders, but let's face it, Andale's really good and just couldn't get anything going as Andale won it 53-0. Frontenac finishes a great season, state runner-up with a 10-3 record.
They're part of my family for the rest of my life. Special group of kids, especially those seniors, but especially just the way they came together as a group from freshmen all the way to seniors. It was special. It was fun to be around. You have nothing to say to them after a game. Everybody's hurting, and you feel for them. But yeah, it goes way past football. I know they're hurting right now, but they'll look back at this season and remember how special it was.
That's the Smith family at its finest right there, whether it be Mark, whether it be his dad, Chuck, whether it be any of his brothers right there. And I love how Mark put that. Yeah, football is one thing, but those kids are family. And hey, congratulations to all of you at Frontenac on a marvelous, marvelous season. Well played, kids. Well played. Number 4 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. We're looking to get back on track Sunday after the first loss of the season against Dayton. Now, Kansas hit the floor against Iona. It's an ESPN Events Invitational late in the first half. Christian Braun steals it, throws it down on the other end. Jayhawks go up by 22. Braun again takes it coast to coast. Braun had 18 on the day. Right before the break, Braun go throw it up. Oche Agbaji. Kansas leads 46-31 at the half. 2 minutes left in the game. Remy Martin to KJ Adams. Got ugly. Iona actually tried to make this a game, but the final score is a little deceiving. Kansas won it 96-83. Arkansas was in action against Penn. 2-point game. Nice spin move. JD Note with the layup. Check it. Whoa! How about that? Still in the first. Audis Tony to the net. Give me the foul. Give me the 3-point play. Arkansas up 11. Then in the second, Stanley Amude. That's how you finish. Razorbacks pull away. Note drops 28 points. Arkansas stays perfect on the year. They beat Penn 76-60. Little Major League Soccer. Sporting Kansas City hosting the Western Conference semifinal against Real Salt Lake. Sporting KC would strike first, but Real Salt Lake with a huge comeback as they score the game's winner and do so in stoppage time to knock off KC. Your final score, 2-1. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the president of Ukraine accuses Russia of plotting a coup against him in the coming days. And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Let's jump into Daily Almanac here as we're a couple minutes past 5:17. But as we get ready to wrap up a month, I always like to look back and see where we are compared to our historical norms. Now, this daily almanac, this is specifically from Joplin Regional Airport, and I want to go down to the very bottom of the screen there. Our yearly precipitation at 43.81 inches. That's only up an inch from the norm, and so we're right on par. But here in a little bit, we're going to bust out the daily almanac for Chanute at Martin Johnson Regional Airport. That's 9.4 inches above normal since January 1. What a hit or miss year. I mean, you won't talk about depending upon where you are and how much rain you got. That is truly the epitome of it. The fact that we'd have an 8-inch difference between Joplin and Chanute. Speaking of Joplin, 39 degrees is where we stand right now over 7th and Range Line. Well above the freezing mark up to the north, now sink down to the south, right at the freezing mark. For places like Anderson, Miami, and Grove, compare that to the 39s in Pittsburgh and Lamar. Compare that to the 43 that we actually have right now in Chanute. We do have a wind chill in effect, and that'll kick in some high 20s. Certainly not too bad for this time of year, though, and the Skywatch storm tracker looking absolutely gorgeous. A 7-day forecast that'll feed us sunshine today. We will see a little uptick in our southerly wind, so at least it won't take a huge bite out of us coming in from the north, but it will get a little bit breezy this afternoon, but still temperatures around 65 degrees. And we're going to ride 60s into the middle of the week. Let's throw a 70 up to begin December. I mean, you know, it's 4 states. While we're at it, why not? No rain to worry about until the weekend. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Instapoll. 12 years ago this week, a Tennessee woman received a life-saving gift from a total stranger. See, this woman needed a double lung transplant. Well, of course, she needed a donor. On the 12th anniversary of her transplant, she's thanking the family of her donor and urging others to become donors. Siobhan Riley with the story.
But I'm still here by the grace of God, and I'm thankful. Okay. So thankful. I'm thankful.
Beverly White gets emotional thinking about the day she was in dire need of a double lung transplant. Not only did she get her wish, White keeps in touch with the family who allowed her to have a second chance at life.
But I am certainly so very, very grateful, and I'm honored. You chose to bless me to be here, and you could have given her lungs to anyone, but I was in dire need of lungs, and you didn't know all of that, but you knew I needed them, although we had never met.
Kim Pound's daughter, Valentina, was 32 when she died from an injection in her neck. Pound says the doctor hit the main artery.
And I'm really blessed that she got both of my daughter's lungs, because she's really amazing and everything, and I'm just really proud of her.
Doctors told White she wouldn't have lived to see the next day if she hadn't received the gift of life.
I didn't find this out until after I got the lungs. There were 2 people there for the lungs, myself and someone else, but of course you don't know any of this. And the doctors told me that the other person, they were going to give that person the other lung. But I was a perfect match.
That's why White always manages to tell the Pound family how much she loves them.
And I will always love you, Kim. I will always love you. Love you, Kim. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. We love you.
We love you more.
Now, according to White, there were tens of thousands of people on the waiting list for the transplant. However, she was the only one that was a perfect match. Our question to you this morning is, what do you think about organ donation? In favor, anti? Let us know what you think. The 2 ways to connect with us. 1, via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now, or if you prefer to go straight to the poll, type in KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, Canada, the Netherlands, and Australia are the latest countries to report confirmed cases of the new Omicron variant. Israel and Morocco announced strict new flight restrictions after South Africa revealed last week that the new variant appears to be spreading throughout the region. CBS News correspondent Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
With nations racing to contain the new COVID variant, the U.S. plans to ban travel from South Africa and 7 other countries in the region starting Monday. On Sunday, President Biden was asked if travel bans on Europe or any other countries might follow.
I'm having a meeting with my medical team as I get back to the White House. I'll have more to say.
The World Health Organization, which gave Omicron its name, cautions against travel restrictions until the variant is better understood.
It's going to give us a period of time to enhance our preparedness.
At this early stage, Omicron brings many unknowns, including whether it causes more severe disease and its potential impact on how well vaccines will work.
People who have looked closely at this sequence, those individuals feel reasonably confident that 3 doses of vaccine is going to be protective. Now, that could give a really strong impetus to trying to get more people boosted.
Another big question, whether Omicron is more contagious than the now predominant Delta variant.
We do think it's more contagious when you look at how rapidly it spread through multiple districts in South Africa. It has the earmarks, therefore, of being particularly likely to spread from one person to another.
The CDC is setting up a surveillance system for Omicron and says if the new variant emerges in the U.S., it expects to identify it quickly. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Well, several other countries, including New Zealand, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, have already restricted or banned travel from various southern African countries. And that's a look at one of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, we got a little here, there, and everywhere as far as our temperatures going this Monday morning. As high as 43 in Chanute, as low as right to the freezing point in Miami, Grove, and Anderson. Throw Jay down there below the freezing point, all the way at 30 degrees. But by the time we get to the afternoon, our sunny skies lift us up around the 65-degree mark. As a matter of fact, we're going to have delightful temperatures because we're going to be very, very dry here for the next couple of days. Elevated fire risk. Avoid any outdoor burning.
Well, if it is.
Chilly morning where temperatures actually dropped right to, if not below, the freezing point, but a wonderful looking Monday afternoon. As we get ready to close out November, we're actually going to have some abnormally warm temperatures all the way up into the mid-60s today and growing all the way to where we almost get to 70 by the time we see Friday. Don't have to worry about any rain until we get to December. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app. After morning temperatures that dropped as low as the freezing point, what a wonderful Monday afternoon we're going to have. Sunny skies. Southwest wind will increase, but it's going to lift us up into the 60s. Going to be absolutely delightful really to close out the month of November because what we're going to see are abnormally warm temperatures as high as 70 by the time we get to Thursday. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
2 men in connection with the disappearance of a man in Berry County. And authorities charge a former substitute teacher with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. Also, a GoFundMe project to help exonerated inmate Kevin Strickland comes through in a big way. Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Because how would you always close out the month of November? You know, whether you be talking about, possible freezing precipitation, colder temperatures, or elevated fire risk. That's what we're going to do. Because for the next couple of days, we're going to have abnormally warm weather, very, very low humidity, and some pretty good gusty winds. So yes, we have an elevated fire risk all the way for the rest of the month. Right now, we sit at 39 degrees over Joplin. That humidity giving you an idea. Here we sit at the 5:30 hour, and we're as low as 76%. So if it's one of those things where you're like, I want to burn some brush here, we'll get ready for the holiday. Nah, not this week. We're not. Bad idea. We are as low as the freezing point in Miami, Grove, and Anderson, and then we're 11 degrees higher in Chanute, 39 in both Pittsburgh and Carthage. Do have a wind chill, so we'll kick in some 20s here when you walk in the door. Those are high 20s, though, very normal for this time of year. Clean Skywatch storm tracker, just a gorgeous, gorgeous early morning is what we have. The ridge of the jet stream that's hanging over the northwest right there, that is going to be very, very opportunistic for us, because when this thing makes its way this way, it's going to bring us from very, very warm end of November temperatures. As a matter of fact, we'll be mid-60s today, but look at where we finish off here by the time we get to Thursday. We're going to roll one more taste of the 70s. And yes, that does happen to be the month of December when that 70 pops up. We will be challenging some record highs on Thursday.
You know what? I welcome that.
Your glass half full. See, there it is.
Trying.
I was just about to say, it's going to be windy as all get out. Hey, what are you doing tonight?
I don't know.
With me, Monday after Thanksgiving. What do we do?
Oh, Christmas
parade! Wait. Okay, I got you. Okay.
It doesn't feel like Christmas parade weather. It's actually decent.
Wait. And scene.
Pittsburgh Christmas parade.
Tanya.
Is too nice.
Wait.
Yes.
Slow down. Tanya, what are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm going to put on my KOAM gear and hop on the KOAM float and cheer on the holiday spirit with a parade rolling through downtown Pittsburgh.
Do you need anybody to join you?
Would you like to join?
Twist my arm.
Maybe we could even have hot chocolate afterwards.
Oh, you stop. Anyway, please join Tanya and I tonight. We will be at the KOAM Christmas Parade beginning. What time are we rolling? 6? I think we're rolling 6.
Sure.
Through downtown Pittsburgh on the KOAM float. Look forward to seeing all of you. Wow, it's crazy to think we're finally back out doing parades. It feels like a little bit of taste of normal right there. Just a little bit.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. And it should be nice weather. Can't beat that. I'm still going to be wearing my overalls.
That's why Christy scheduled me, because I was like, okay, what day do I
Michael will have his long underwear
off?
on. I will be wearing my overalls, but you'll still be able to identify us. I might even put on a Santa hat.
Right there. See that one on the ladder? I'm actually going to grab it. Not that we have ladders in the studio, folks. We would never do that. Is that OSHA approved?
It's a safe distance away. If it were to fall,
Don't do that. Don't say that.
it'd land. Okay, maybe not.
It's not going to fall. My goodness.
It probably hit me where it's standing. It's that tall of a
I
ladder.
made a joke about OSHA. You're going to get us all in trouble now.
Oh, well, that is what it is.
We love you, OSHA and FCC. What are the
This is
government?
why Michael.
What other government entities am I missing?
Michael should like you because, or OSHA should like you because you preach hard hat safety on a regular basis. You really do.
OSHA should love me. Our engineers hate me because I'm always like, you guys need to do X, Y, and Z before you do that. Emergency management at its finest, folks.
All right, let's move along. Well, 2 suspects have been arrested in connection with the disappearance of a man from a Springdale apartment, and that's according to officials with the Springdale Police Department. With 2 suspects in custody, the search continued for 39-year-old Richard Phillips. Phillips was last seen at the Peaks Apartments on Cooper Drive November 23rd. An investigation into his disappearance started after a witness told police Phillips was abducted from the apartment by a group of men. Officers spotted a trail of blood in the parking lot. On Saturday, just before 12 p.m., a group of hunters discovered a body, later identified as Phillips, just north of Seligman, Missouri, in Berry County. Law enforcement determined that he died in Springdale. His body is being sent to the Arkansas State Crime Lab to determine his cause of death. Springdale police officials say following an extensive investigation, Reginald Baker of Seligman, Missouri, and Daniel Blanks of Fort Smith, Arkansas, were named suspects in the case. Investigators learned the pair were staying in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and requested authorities in the area help bring the men into custody. Both men were arrested by the Tulsa Police Department without incident and will be transported back to Washington County. Authorities file a sex crime charge against a former substitute teacher for the Frontenac and Girard school districts. Suspect is 39-year-old Ross McCullough of Frontenac. Prosecutors say he asked an underage Frontenac student to engage in sexually explicit conduct by mobile phone. They have charged him with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. A man declared wrongfully convicted in 3 murders heads to a new life. And with lots of goodwill through donated funds, more than $1.4 million has been raised as of Saturday. A GoFundMe project was started for 62-year-old Kevin Strickland of Kansas City, Missouri. Strickland was ordered released from prison last Tuesday by a Missouri Court of Appeals judge for a wrongful 1979 conviction in 3 killings in Kansas City. The judge ruled that evidence has since been recanted or disproved. Strickland had always maintained his innocence. The GoFundMe project will help Strickland's living expenses. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. A community in Bluefield, Virginia comes together to recognize the 300 African Americans buried in a forgotten cemetery. Plus, 5 people are detained in Russia in connection with last week's deadly mine explosion in Siberia. We'll have the latest there, but first, it's 5:37.
Temperature is going to be up into the 60s today, plenty of sunshine. Southwest wind will pick up, we'll roll 10 to 15 miles per hour, but wonderful, abnormally warm temperatures to end November and head into December. We'll be back right after this.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Bach with your KOAM News Update. Galena police and fire took over streets Friday raising money for Toys for Tots. They were staked out around 7th and Main, Santa hats in hand, collecting money for charity. Last check, they raised more than $2,000. Some unique items were up for sale at the Christmas extravaganza in Columbus, Kansas. It was held in the 4-H building. Vendors and crafters set up a booth to sell a variety of things, many suitable for Christmas gifts. This was the 10th annual Christmas extravaganza at the 4-H building in Columbus. Here's Michael with today's forecast.
We're going to have sunny skies and temperatures that are going to be abnormally warm for this time of year as we'll make it all the way up into the mid-60s. That southwest breeze, it will increase to about 15 miles per hour, gusting up to 25. But once again, because it works out of the southwest, keeps us well above the freezing mark as we get overnight and ready for Tuesday. Another thing we're going to have to talk about are elevated fire conditions because we are very, very dry for the next several days. No green going to roll through future tracks, so let's avoid any outdoor burning and enjoy temperatures in the 60s, if not 70s, as we close out November and get ready for December.
Topping World Watch, Russia begins legal proceedings after a fatal coal mine accident on Thursday. 5 people will be held in jail pending an investigation of a mine explosion in Siberia that killed 51 people. Experts say the explosion was caused by sparked methane gas. 285 people were in the mine at the time and 239 were rescued shortly after the blast. The mine's director, his deputy, and section supervisor are among those being jailed. Officials say miners had complained about high methane levels, and authorities suspended certain sections of the mine 9 times and issued fines for violations. The Ukrainian president says a group of Ukrainians and Russians is planning a coup against him in the coming days. Matthew Chance is in London with the details.
These are disturbing allegations from the Ukrainian president. A serious and new threat posed by Russia against his government. We have information there will soon be a coup in our country, he announced at a roundtable discussion with journalists. It's in just a few days, he said, on the 1st or 2nd of December. The Kremlin denies any such plot. But it's a dramatic escalation in the war of words, as Russia is accused of massing forces near Ukraine's borders, poised to invade, which the Kremlin also denies. Now President Zelensky says he has intelligence, including an audio recording of Russians and Ukrainians discussing the plot against him, although no evidence has yet been made public. He also suggested Ukraine's richest man, this powerful oligarch called Rinat Akhmetov, who owns several critical media outlets, may have been involved, something strenuously denied to CNN by Akhmetov himself. The information made public by Vladimir Zelensky about attempts to draw me into some kind of coup is an absolute lie, Akhmetov said in this written statement. As a Ukrainian citizen, the country's biggest investor, taxpayer and employer, Akhmetov continues, "I will defend a free Ukraine and do everything I can to prevent authoritarianism and censorship." For years now, Ukraine has been facing enormous pressure from its powerful Russian neighbour, fighting a trench war with Russian-backed rebels in the country's east. It was the threat of holding back US military aid that led to former President Trump's first impeachment. Now, US officials say Russia is engaged in destabilizing activities inside Ukraine as well, against the Zelensky government. It's one of the reasons the Ukrainian leader seems on edge, conscious he has enemies outside the country and within. But there are also fears he's using real concerns about Russia to crack down on his opponents too.
A dangerous flight to the U.S. Saturday morning for a Guatemalan man who hid in an unsuspecting part of the airplane. The 26-year-old man hid in the landing gear of the American Airlines Flight 1182, traveling from Guatemala to Miami. The man was discovered and taken into custody by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Video of the incident shows the man after being detained and before being taken to a hospital for medical assessment. American Airlines says it is cooperating with authorities in the incident. The FAA says 129 people have tried to stow away in wheel wells or other areas of commercial aircraft since 1947, with 100 having died from injuries during those flights. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our something to talk about.
Usually end up freezing to death is what happens in that. Our something to talk about, Tanya, on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, we're discussing organ donation. Beverly White needed a double lung transplant, but so did another 10,000 people on the same waiting list. But Kim Pound's daughter, her goes by the name of Valentina, she is an organ donor, and she'd passed away from an injection that hit her artery. So Beverly ended up with a gift of life because Valentina's lungs happen to be the perfect match. We're asking you, would you donate your organs? Right now, 82% of you say yes. And that's a great thing about the Insta polls. We see it change right there on the fly. Two ways to always connect each and every morning. Number one, our Facebook page at KOAM News Now, or go directly to the poll, koamnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Want to know how we make your glasses so fast? It's all done right here.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities file a sex crime charge against a former substitute teacher for the Frontenac and Girard, Kansas school districts. Suspect is 39-year-old Ross McCullough of Frontenac. Prosecutors say he asked an underage Frontenac student to engage in sexually explicit conduct by mobile phone. They've charged him with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. Galena Police and Fire took over the streets Friday, raising money for Toys for Tots. They were staked out around 7th and Main, Santa hats in hand, collecting money for charity. And so many of us have begun the daunting task of buying Christmas gifts for friends and family. For some of us, it's an easy task to do, and others, not so much. Thankfully, Sunday, the Ambassadors Church in Pittsburgh got together to help with the not-so-easy part, wrapping. The group held a wrap party yesterday afternoon to help folks take care of wrapping part of the gift buying process. Well, some unique items were up for sale at the Christmas extravaganza in Columbus, Kansas. It was held in the 4-H building. Vendors and crafters set up a booth to sell a variety of things, many suitable for Christmas gifts. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Tanya, check this out. You want to talk about a high pressure system west of the Rockies? That's about ridiculous right there. The only L that we see even west of the Mississippi is in the far upper plains. And what that's going to mean is a whole bunch of blue sky and let the sunshine take effect, as we are going to be able to make it up into the 70s by the time we close out the work week. And remember, when we close out the work week, we're closing out November and opening up December. Joplin sits at 39 right now, a little bit of a wind chill in effect. Also, too, elevated fire concerns as that humidity is going to drop very, very low this afternoon. Let's avoid any outdoor burning. Temperatures ranging anywhere from about 43 in Chanute being our warm point, all the way down to 30 in Jay. A whole bunch of 39s right there in the middle, including Carthage and in Pittsburgh. As far as the wind chills go, we got a couple high 20s up there, but that's not abnormal for this time of year. Great looking Skywatch storm tracker to the point where, wow, we won't even see any cloud cover until tomorrow. A weather trend that is going to have temperatures up into the mid 60s today. And overnight, we won't even come close to that freezing mark. As a matter of fact, we're not going to see the freezing mark here until we get first full week into December, because look at this 7-day forecast. Remember, we're going to turn the calendar here. We're going to turn the calendar on, what would that be? That'd be Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be the first. So why don't we just throw up 70 degrees on the second day of December? A tad bit ridiculous. And those overnight lows would equivocate to what we would normally see for our daily highs this time of year. Looking at some scattered rainfall on Saturday and Sunday. Certainly not anything severe, and certainly too warm to have anything flip over. The old dreaded phrase of wintry precipitation. Nah, we don't even need to worry about that until we get later on in the month. We'll be back with more KOAM morning news right after this.
You know.
In Bluefield, Virginia on Friday, a community came together to honor hundreds of African Americans who had been buried at a forgotten cemetery. Descendants of the former slaves in Bluefield used the day after Thanksgiving as a special time of remembrance for their ancestors. Glenn Kittle tells us how the long-neglected graves finally became recognized.
Almighty Father, source of forgiveness and salvation, grant today that our relatives and friends who have passed from this life many years ago may continue to rest in sweet peace.
At Maple Hill Cemetery, more than 300 African Americans were honored at a grave site left neglected until Friday. Susie Green's relatives are buried here. She spearheaded the project for their story to be told.
There's a certain amount of joy that I'm sharing, because the words that would have been maybe on paper, but not on a sign for people to see, not for our children to be able to read and recognize that their ancestors did things that were important in the town of Bluefield, Virginia.
During the ceremony, many expressed how this is a step toward healing wounds from the past. Some buried here are former slaves.
The first thing that comes to my mind, I think, is an apology. That we should not have had to have an event like this. The folks buried behind me are as much of making Bluefield, Virginia what it is, or the folks buried in front of me.
Future generations can learn from this historical marker and learn from their nation's past to build a better future.
Well, it gives the people that in the future something to look forward to. When they come, they'll know, and they'll look up something, look for something where we don't have to dig so deep. They can come in, they can find, they can recognize it, because we have a sign now, to illustrate where it is and where, and where they can come to find it.
Well, in May of next year, 3 new granite tombstones will be dedicated at Maple Hill Cemetery. They will be engraved with the names of more than 100 African Americans who did not have individual markers there. We'll be back with one last look at the forecast right after this.
Sunny skies and a great start to our Christmas parade season. Pittsburgh parade happening tonight. Overnight lows only in the 40s. Back right after this.
Coming up, Springdale police arrest 2 men in connection with the disappearance of a man in Berry County. And authorities charge a former substitute teacher with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. Also, a GoFundMe project to help exonerated inmate Kevin Strickland comes through in a big way.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip in the Skywatch Weather Center.
6 a.m. Clearly you and I have fallen in love with the 4 states because we've called this place home now for some time, but at one point in our more formidable lives, you and I spent time in the Lone Star State.
We did.
Yeah, what's your favorite convenience store?
I would be wrong if I did not say 7-Eleven.
That would be Sunrise. You are correct. See what I did there? 40 degrees is where we stand right now in Joplin with sunrise over Joplin Regional Airport at 7:11 on this Monday morning. A little bit of a wind chill in effect, about a 6-degree difference between what you see and what it feels like. But we have a great Skywatch storm tracker that is just about as clear as can be. No cloud cover to worry about. As a matter of fact, a little cloud cover because it may feed us some precipitation, but that will not be the point. So we've actually got to put on a little serious face here. We have elevated fire concerns, elevated fire weather lasting all the way through the middle of the week. But I would strongly suggest you get out and enjoy this because this is a ridiculous end of to November and beginning of December. We're talking about 60s all throughout the week. And then Tanya, the second day of December, which would be Thursday, we're going to challenge some record highs.
That's
And I mean, normal high of 53 degrees. Those are, we got some 53s down there for overnight lows.
Can't complain about those temperatures for real.
Big gulp and a sleeve, if you will, a sleeve of Spree.
Oh.
Breakfast of Champions when you're on your way to American Freightways. Hayslip children, you are not to use me as an example of what you would call a healthy breakfast back in my youth.
I probably spent
when I
more
was
time,
working.
instead of going to 7-Eleven, it was more time at Whataburger. Michael's hungry now. All right.
Stop.
If anybody has any connections, just send some north to us.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be great
Whataburger.
if we got a Whataburger up here?
Oh my gosh, it'd just be you and me hanging out in the orange interior. They still got to have the orange interior, right?
We'd have to talk
Straight
about,
from 1972.
We'd have to talk to the boss about like doing some special marketing.
No, we just do the show there.
It would just be done. Like I just have Whataburger set right here.
We would just do
and
the
you'd have
morning
your big
show
gulp
from
in your Spree.
Whataburger.
Shameless. Nah, it's all right.
Oh, I'm never. When have I been above that? Give me a break.
What a burger. Okay. 2 suspects have been arrested in connection with the disappearance of a man from a Springdale apartment, and that's according to officials with the Springdale Police Department. With 2 suspects in custody, the search continued for 39-year-old Richard Phillips. Phillips was last seen at the Peaks Apartments on Cooper Drive November 23rd. An investigation into his disappearance started after a witness told police Phillips was abducted from the apartment by a group of men. Officers spotted a trail of blood in the parking lot. On Saturday, just before 12 p.m., a group of hunters discovered a body, later identified as Phillips, just north of Seligman, Missouri, in Berry County. Law enforcement determined that he died in Springdale. His body was being sent to the Arkansas State Crime Lab to determine his cause of death. Springdale police officials say following an extensive investigation, Reginald Baker of Seligman, Missouri, and Daniel Blanks of Fort Smith, Arkansas, were named suspects in the case. Investigators learned the pair were staying in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and requested authorities in the area help bring the men into custody. Both men were arrested by the Tulsa Police Department without incident and will be transported back to Washington County. Authorities file a sex crime charge against a former substitute teacher for the Frontenac and Girard, Kansas school districts. The suspect is 39-year-old Ross McCullough of Frontenac. Prosecutors say he asked an underage Frontenac student to engage in sexually explicit conduct by mobile phone. They've charged him with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. And a man declared wrongfully convicted in 3 murders heads for a new life with lots of goodwill through donated funds. In fact, more than $1.4 million has been raised as of Saturday. It's through a GoFundMe project that was started for 62-year-old Kevin Strickland of Kansas City, Missouri. Strickland was ordered released from prison last Tuesday by a Missouri Court of Appeals judge for a wrongful 1979 conviction in 3 killings in Kansas City. The judge ruled that evidence has since been recanted or disproved. Strickland had always maintained his innocence. The GoFundMe project will help Strickland's living expenses. Well, it's time now for another edition of Connecting Communities. And Sunday at sundown marked the first night of the Jewish Festival of Lights, otherwise known as Hanukkah. It's not Jewish Christmas or even one of the biggest Jewish holidays, but it is a time for Jewish people around the world to reflect on how far they've come as a group of people. KOAM's very own Bronte Sorotsky is a member of the Jewish community. She sat down with Paul Teverow at the United Hebrew Congregation of Joplin to share what Hanukkah is all about.
On Sunday night, Jewish people around the world will light their menorahs, or Hanukkahs, commemorating the first night of Hanukkah, also known as the Festival of Lights. But the holiday has a much deeper meaning.
Hanukkah commemorates events about 2,200 years ago, when Jews were under the domination of a Greek-speaking empire in Syria, and the ruler there, Antiochus, tried to impose different religious practices on the Jews and forbade them to practice some of their traditions. Starting around 165 BCE, the family of Mattathias the priest in Modin, town I guess about 30 miles northwest of Jerusalem, started a rebellion.
A small group of Jews, including a family of 8 brothers called the Maccabees, were among those rebelling.
And against all odds, this rebellion succeeded. And one of the signs of success is when they were able to capture Jerusalem and return the temple in Jerusalem. Hanukkah is a Hebrew word that literally means dedication. And they dedicated the synagogue, among other things, by relighting the menorah.
It's a holiday signifying a time when Jews persevered against all odds. When they tried to celebrate, they noticed their temple, or synagogue, where Jewish people worship, was badly damaged. They rededicated it. In fact, Hanukkah means rededication. They wanted to light their menorah to symbolize God's presence, and only had enough to last one night. By a miracle, it lasted 8.
That was supposed to last only for one day, lasted for 8 days. And so to this day, Jews celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days. And in some ways, the holiday is about oil, foods cooked in oil. And it depends on what region of the world Jews come from. Jews from Mediterranean regions would sometimes eat a fried fritter, sweet fritter called buñuelos. Jews from Eastern Europe, where most Jews in America, their ancestors come from, would eat a potato pancake. The potato pancakes are in Yiddish called latkes.
But the main message of Hanukkah is more than lighting a menorah, eating latkes, or spinning dreidels.
The Jewish people, the Jewish religion survived against all odds. And I think that's the main message of Hanukkah.
It's why we say, Al Hanisim Ve'al HaPorkon, Ve'al HaDvurot, Ve'al HaShurot, Ve'al HaMilchamot She, Shista Lavotenu, Bayamin Hahem, Bazman Hazeh. Thank you for the miracles, for rescuing us, for the courageous acts you performed, for saving us, and for the battles you waged in defense of our ancestors and at this season. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Xbox has been a competitive force in the video game market. Now they're opening the curtains to talk about the future of video games. We'll have more on that. Plus, the Supreme Court is taking up a case on abortion rights. There are 2 sides to every argument. Stick around and we'll hear some of those arguments. And today is Cyber Monday, which means there'll be deals online that you can't get any other time of the year. We'll have your Cyber Monday forecast here. And now for a check of your actual weather forecast.
And now I bring you
the weather.
Thank you, ma'am. Temperatures ranging anywhere from about 32 to 41, so we're kind of widespread. Nice thing is we're going to get plenty of sunshine, work up into the mid-60s today. A warm end to November. Consumer Watch is next.
What's your...
In Consumer Watch this morning, the second Cyber Monday of the pandemic is on track to be the biggest one yet. Laura Podesta is at an Amazon fulfillment site in New Jersey to see how the e-commerce giant is getting ready.
The packages never stop moving at this Amazon fulfillment center in New Jersey. And this could be the busiest day of the year for America's largest retailer.
We prepare every year to make Cyber Monday and to make Black Friday bigger and better than ever. And that means more deals. We have more deals this year than ever before.
Online shopping during this Cyber Monday is expected to break records. Adobe Analytics predicts Americans will spend around $11.3 billion today.
For Cyber Week, we're actually expecting a 5% increase compared to last year. So again, really big upgrade from last year.
Amazon says it's opened new fulfillment centers and added tens of thousands of employees to handle the soaring demand for online goods. But ongoing supply chain issues have many retailers struggling to keep items in stock. Experts say shoppers who are flexible may be able to use that to their advantage.
Retailers are seeing some of those products just all of a sudden they get a shipment in because that supply chain opens up just a little bit and they're able to stock their shelves, and they're actually heavily discounting those products because it was almost like a surprise supply for them.
Analysts say the scarcity of certain items could leave consumers vulnerable to online scams. Buyers should always check a seller's reputation before handing over any credit card information. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Robbinsville, New Jersey.
Adobe Analytics says the average person will spend about 12 hours shopping online during the holiday season. Well, stocks took a beating Friday amid growing fears about a new coronavirus variant. The Dow tumbled 905 points during a holiday abbreviated trading day on Wall Street. The NASDAQ dropped 353. The S&P FICE 100 fell 106. Well, shoppers made an in-person return to the stores on the day after Thanksgiving. The Wall Street Journal says retailers saw about a 50% increase in foot traffic compared to last year. That's still down nearly 30%, though compared with 2019, according to Sensormatic Solutions. Adobe says online spending actually declined on Black Friday for the first time since it began tracking them. E-commerce companies are hoping to reverse that trend with today's Cyber Monday sales. And that's it for Consumer Watch. We'll be right back.
Just about ready to pass 617, little weather on the 7s and a gorgeous start over 7th and Rangeline, where currently we sit at 40 degrees. We do have a little bit of a wind chill. It's not too bad for this time of year. Now, Joplin's bump up to 40. Chanute already at 41, along with Independence and Neosho. Let's roll 39 in Pittsburgh and Lamar. Miami, however, down at the freezing point of 32. Here's what it feels like when you head out the door. We got a couple high 20s hanging on. Perfectly normal for this time of year. Clean Skywatch storm tracker. See a little sliver of the moon as you walk outside and look to your south-southwest. Skywatch storm tracker waiting for the ridge of the jet stream that's now over the western portion of the United States to get to us and bring us warm temperatures. Look at this high pressure, just a whole bunch of H's just dominating the map. That's usually a good indicator that we're going to have plenty of sunshine, and that's what we'll have on this Monday, all the way up into the mid-60s. Overnight, well above the freezing point, as we'll be able to maintain some 40-degree temperatures and a 7-day forecast that closes out November in ridiculously abnormally warm temperatures. We're riding the 60s, and then that second day of December, we got a chance to make it up to 70 degrees. The Xbox emerged, I'll say 20 years ago, when Sony and Nintendo were dominating the video game industry. But now, console brings in billions, with a B, billions of dollars every year from Microsoft, with hundreds of millions of monthly users. Richard Quest sat down with the head of Xbox, his name is Phil Spencer, to talk about how the industry got to this point and also where it goes from here. Even giving it a try, but just know it didn't go well.
Race has started.
What?
Race has started.
When? Yeah, that's not fair.
I think the last video game I played with any degree of fervour was Pac-Man, and that was many years ago. I've barely picked up a controller, but Phil Spencer's a video game expert.
Oh, God, this is not fair. This is absolutely not fair. How many times have you played this?
He's worked at Microsoft since the company's start in gaming 20 years ago. At the time, people were skeptical Xbox could compete in an industry dominated by Sony and Nintendo. Now with games like Halo, the console brings in billions of dollars every year for Microsoft.
3 billion people play video games on the planet. Most of those people are playing on devices that they already own, that they might use for other phone calls, tablets, whatever. So at Microsoft, we're putting the player at the center. We're allowing somebody to play all the games, connect to all the community they want to connect to, regardless of what device that they want to play on. We're using the power of the cloud to deliver Xbox games that can run on consoles, but also run on the cloud and come to players anywhere. And that's, I think, for us, our long-term vision is allowing anybody to play. When everybody plays, we all win.
I would destroy Richard Spence in Forza 5. Enough said. Health Watch is next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a Mississippi abortion case is heading to the Supreme Court. Opening arguments are set for Wednesday. Deidre Briscoe went to New Horizon Church in Jackson, where anti-abortion activists held a prayer ceremony.
In May, the U.S. Supreme Court announced it will hear the Dobbs versus Jackson's women health case, with a focus on the constitutionality of Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban, a ruling that will affect all states having the right to make a decision as it pertains to protecting human life.
I think they thought, the court in 1973, thought they were going to resolve this issue once and for all. We see it today in the year 2021 as more of a divisive issue than ever before. The people need a voice in this, and the states have spoken overwhelmingly. The states, a majority of the states, have decided they want to protect human life.
Protecting human life is what the governor of Mississippi says he plans to do.
And there is no constitutional right for an abortion. In addition to that, if you read the Constitution, there's also nothing in it that restricts the state's ability to limit abortion with reasonable limits. This particular law provides those reasonable limits and reasonable restrictions, and I'm confident that if the court reads the Constitution, they're going to rule in our favor.
Those who are in favor of abortion rights say while the Constitution may not directly protect women, the 14th Amendment includes their reproductive rights.
It's unfair for women across the nation because, once again, the 14th Amendment protects us as well, and this will strip us of those 14th Amendment protections, and that will make us second-class citizens, basically unable to partake in society on an equal basis.
The court will hear arguments Wednesday both in favor and against abortion rights.
If the court rules in Mississippi's favor, it could allow state governments to craft their own laws on abortion rights. Researchers say they've come up with a reliable way to determine which COVID-19 patients will most likely die from the disease. Scientists in Montreal looked at hundreds of patients and found that the amount of viral RNA in the blood was directly associated with mortality. One new study finds there were no decreases in new cancer diagnoses among children in Canada during the first 9 months of the pandemic. Research from other countries, including the United Kingdom, show a steep reduction in new cases, and studies from the United States suggest a drop as well. Engineers at Washington University in St. Louis have developed scans that have uncovered new connections between rotator cuff tendons and their bony attachments. Researchers say the discovery sheds new light on why rotator cuff surgery frequently fails. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We got everything ranging from the low 30s to the low 40s right now, but this is a tad bit ridiculous by the time we get to the afternoon, because our average high this time of year would be 53. We're not only going to be 10 degrees above that, but our average low would be 33, and overnight we'll be about 10 degrees above that. I mean, we're just going to roll this here on a 7-day forecast. It's kind of ridiculous to close out the month of November. You'd think eventually we'd get a little bit of a cold front. That's not going to be the case. Sunny skies, mild temps all the way through. As a matter of fact, that Thursday 70, that's going to challenge a December 2nd record. We'll be back right after this.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, another shooting in Aurora, Colorado. This one taking place just a day after concerned citizens gathered to work together to end gun violence that has occurred one too many times. in this Colorado town. Patrick Perez has more on the story.
Another piece of crime scene tape strewn across the ground after yet another shooting in Aurora with multiple victims. Police say a total of 5 people were shot just after midnight Sunday near Dayton and Colfax. Multiple bullet holes have now become a permanent part of this mural in the back of the Dayton Street Day Labor Center. The victims were between the ages of 16 and 20. All were males and all are expected to survive. Investigators are working to find out whether the shooting had any connection to a party in this hair salon just down the block.
To see what has gone on in the community since I went to high school there is just, it's astounding.
Jason McBride is a secondary violence prevention specialist at the Struggle of Love Foundation. He attended a meeting just down the street from this shooting last week where city and state leaders talked about shootings just like these.
These kids now they're in a kill or be killed mentality.
Sunday's shooting follows the one at Nome Park nearly 2 weeks ago and the one at the Hinckley High School parking lot days later. All 3 involved teens. Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson addressed the problem Saturday at a prayer gathering at Nome Park.
I know we want to be those cool parents, but we can't be anymore. We need to be in their backpacks, we need to be in their bedrooms, and we need to really be engaged and involved.
Police haven't identified any suspects in this most recent shooting, but Jason hopes we can start working to find a solution and not just focus on the problem.
We talk on the news, we get interviewed, and then everybody goes back to their lives and it quiets down, and then we're like, okay, we solved those problems and didn't actually do anything. It just stopped for whatever reason. We're not going to stop this time.
Investigators are asking anyone who has information about this case to contact Metro Denver Crime Stoppers. Well, pioneering Florida Congresswoman died Sunday at her home in Miami at the age of 95. Carrie Meek was the first black woman to serve in Florida's Senate and later became the first elected to Congress, since Reconstruction. The granddaughter of an enslaved person broke many barriers in her career, including being the first black professor at Miami-Dade Community College. After serving in Congress for a decade, Representative Meek retired in 2002. Her son Kendrick successfully ran for her House seat and served 4 terms in Congress. Congresswoman Meek is survived by 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. Well, hundreds of people gathered in Times Square in New York City on Sunday for a tribute dedicated to the late composer and lyricist Stephen Sondheim, who died suddenly on Friday at the age of 91. Among the attendees, Hamilton creator, playwright, actor, and composer Lin-Manuel Miranda gave a moving speech dedicated to the late Sondheim, and singers Josh Groban and Sarah Bareilles joined in chorus to perform Sunday, the final act in Sondheim's 1984 Pulitzer Award-winning musical Sunday in the Park with George.
I did like holiday, traveling, doing a lot of stuff. I'm learning about this right now. Holy cow.
And it's something, I mean, he died suddenly on Friday and they pulled it together.
I feel terrible. I didn't know, like you said Friday, I'm like, because I'm looking at a rundown, I'm like, remembering Sondheim. Well, actually it's Sondheim, and that's why I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and you're like, Stephen Sondheim. No, it's interesting. Over the weekend, I saw a promo. They're redoing West Side Story.
Oh, yep.
Just like how bizarre. Wow. Gypsy, West Side Story, funny thing happened on the way to the Forum. I'll go with Into the Woods. That's my favorite one. Holy cow. No, sometimes you learn stuff live on television, folks. 91, you said?
Yes.
Did not have any idea that he was that old. But
I didn't either. That was news to me.
You think about when he started, I guess that kind of makes sense. All right, let's turn our attention now to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our Something to Talk About. Amazing story about organ donation, because there's a woman by the name of Beverly White, and she needed a double lung transplant. At the same time, so did about 10,000 other people on the waiting list. Well, that woman that we just saw right there, Kim Pound, her daughter Valentina, an organ donor, had passed away from an injection that hit an artery, and Beverly ended up with those two lungs because it was a perfect match. Our question to you is, what do you think about organ donation? 85% of you right now are in favor of it. You can make your voice heard each and every morning. You can connect to us via our Facebook page, KOAM News Now, or go directly to the poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back and celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and this morning's four-state hero right after this.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero. Navy Ensign Willis Carell from Fairland, Oklahoma. He served from 1958 to 1964. To Willis Carell, we thank you, our four-state hero.
Let's start with the big number one right here. That's Jean Schwartz. I mean, we're already on the bike and we're riding along and everything. Now, I'm set in my notes here. It just says quotations Jeopardy, end quotations. I don't know if that's Jean's nickname. I don't know if we go by Jean Jeopardy Schwartz. I'm not sure. But Jean, on this first birthday, kiddo, you go get him. She's in Fredonia.
Maybe she's watching Jeopardy while she's riding her bike.
Ooh, that could be. That could be.
She's intently looking.
Yeah, you may be right about that.
I don't know. Let's see, we've got out in Fredonia, Gwendolyn Huser turning 5 years old this year.
Do you want to do it? You can tell her. What is she doing?
She is outstanding in her field.
Yeah, you are, Gwendolyn. Yeah, you are. That's a cool shirt, too. I like that.
That's pretty cool, though. Nice picture.
Cooper Franklin got a 7th birthday, little Gerard Trojan pride right there. Footballed up, ready to rock. A happy 7th Cooper in Gerard.
I like that 98 letter jacket that he's sitting on. I wonder if that's Dad's. That's pretty cool. All right, we've got Isabella Harrison turning 10 years old. Awesome picture there in Pittsburgh.
Awesome picture, awesome name. I have always loved that name right there. Happy birthday, Miss Isabella. Brendan Thompson, he has a 15th birthday. Now, Sir Brendan, he is in Oswego. And Brendan, I want you to know that these birthday wishes come with love from Mom and Dad.
All right, Savannah Berry turning 18 years old this year. Savannah celebrating. Oop, it doesn't have a location, my bad. Happy birthday, Savannah.
One family's got, they got busy birthday week/weekend ahead of them because Shelby Jones, she's celebrating her 20th birthday. And Shelby, a very happy birthday to you in Fredonia. And Shelby probably just as happy to share that birthday with one Paisley Abbott, who's turning 3. Now, Paisley's in Iola, but here's the connection. Miss Paisley just happens to be the niece of one Shelby Jones.
That's cool.
So very happy birthday to both Shelby and Paisley.
All right, Daniel Carpenter celebrated birthday number 30 on Saturday down in Quapaw, Oklahoma. Happy birthday, Daniel.
Let's run out to Oswego because that's where Tyler Dreiling is celebrating his 45th birthday. Tyler, have a marvelous, marvelous birthday week.
All right, and with love from the family, going out to Tony Irwin, who's now 64 years old. Looks like you were somewhere really cool recently.
That's a very vibrant picture.
I like it. Tony is in Carthage, but not in that picture.
That's cool. Darlene Turner, speaking of very vibrant pictures, beautiful picture of Miss Darlene right there. She celebrates number 67. Darlene, a happy birthday in Humboldt.
All right. And
yeah, we got one of her.
Yeah, we got a little rerun here for Miss Carol Saporito, who recently celebrated birthday number 75 in Columbus.
Now that's called a celebration right there. That's how you do it for Miss Carol.
You know, she had a big party.
That's good stuff. I love that. Carol, thank you for that picture. I knew we'd get one. Benny Phipps celebrating number 85. Benny, a very happy birthday to you. He is celebrating in Pittsburgh.
All right. In Columbus, Ben and Alicia Drager celebrating 24 years together. Congratulations to the Dragers.
William and Joyce Haynes are celebrating their 41st anniversary. Now, William and Joyce, I want you to know that these anniversary wishes come with love from Josie, Chris, Serena, and Danielle. William and Joyce, they are in Chanute.
All right. And Terry and Michelle Hildebrand are celebrating birthday number 53.
Who's that on the
or
right?
Or anniversary
then?
number 53. They're in Chitopa.
That gentleman on the right was not there 53 years ago. Great picture of Terry and Michelle.
How do you know that?
I'm just telling you, that dude on the right, he was not there 53 years ago when they were wedded.
Probably not.
Terry and Michelle, if I'm wrong about that and you have photographic proof, let me know. How great would that be? Somebody's going to send it. Somebody's going to Photoshop a picture of Terry and Michelle on their wedding day.
Rusty was there.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Congratulations, Terry and Michelle. That is phenomenal. Linda Stark, celebrating her 67th. Happy birthday to Linda in Columbus. Jean Fowler with a birthday. Happy birthday to Jean in Miami. And Christine Curran, she is celebrating her 89th. Miss Curran, a very happy birthday to you in Altamont.
We've got Jim Vaughn turning 76 years old this year.
Wait. Is that who I think it is, that next one?
Yep. Jim is in Crestline. And the next one's coming from Columbus. And Michael's looking upset because we don't have a picture of Miss Aretha Schultz.
It's because I love that woman to death.
Aretha is 84 this year.
I love that woman to death.
And Ashley Huddleston in Parsons. Happy birthday.
Edith Scott, a very happy. I'll read it. Aretha, I'm gonna come back and find out about that picture. But I want you to know that we all love you and everything that you've done for us. Edith Scott, a very happy birthday in the Berg, and Madeline Hale, up to the big 3-0. Madeline, a very happy birthday to you in Columbus, and Madeline, please know, birthday wishes, special birthday wishes coming from Grandma and Grandpa. A happy birthday and happy anniversary to all on this November the 29th. Perhaps you celebrated over the weekend, in which case, Tanya gives me carte blanche to carry it into this week as well. That's where you can send them into birthdays at KOAMTV.com or go to our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Now here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities file a sex crime charge against a former substitute teacher for the Frontenac and Girard, Kansas school districts. Suspect is 39-year-old Ross McCullough of Frontenac. Prosecutors say he asked an underage Frontenac student to engage in sexually explicit contact by mobile phone. They've charged him with attempted sexual exploitation of a child. Galena Police and Fire took over the streets Friday, raising money for Toys for Tots. They were staked out around 7th and Main, Santa hats in hand, collecting money for charity. So many of us have begun the daunting task of buying Christmas gifts for family and friends. For some of us, it's an easy task to do, and others not so much. Thankfully, Sunday, the Ambassadors Church in Pittsburgh got together to help with the not-so-easy part, wrapping. The group held a wrap party yesterday afternoon for folks to take care of the wrapping part of the gift buying process. Well, some unique items were up for sale at the Christmas Extravaganza in Columbus, Kansas. It was held in the 4-H building. Vendors and crafters set up a booth to sell a variety of things, many suitable for Christmas gifts. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
A little warm up here. Officially sunrise is until 7-11, but Joplin's up to 40, Chanute at 41. Now Miami and Grove, they're still sitting there at the freezing mark, and yeah, Jay only at 29 degrees as well. But eventually we'll make it up into the mid-60s with sunny skies. I'm good, you do it. I don't need one. I just talk about it. Afternoon planner, it's going to be delightful, especially for this time of year. Overnight lows not even close to getting down around the freezing mark, as we're going to be dry. That's why we've got elevated fire concerns as well. Hit it.
All right, well, since the beginning of the campaign in 1988, 4 state residents have helped KOAM make Christmas brighter for thousands of area families. And we invite you to join us in the KOAM Toy Box, one of the area's largest toy drives to benefit underprivileged children in Southeast Kansas, Southwest Missouri, and Northeast Oklahoma.
All right, I want to thank you all for joining us. Toy Box Tuesday begins tomorrow. Do me a favor, have a great day, be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
Good luck trying to find